Hello, I'm Stephen Collins. You know, every small town has legends. Those stories are shared over the dinner table, at Friday night football games, shared with friends and family. And this is Hollow in the Hill, where we believe that those stories truly matter. And we're going to visit people, places, and things to bring those stories to you.
For decades, the doors of Gethsemane Baptist Church opened every Sunday morning. Voices filled the sanctuary, families gathered, and generations shared the same pews. And through all those years, there were people who stayed.
What's up, everybody? My name is Brandon Edwards, and you normally find me behind the camera. I am the owner, director, founder of Frazzell Studio TV and Hollow in the Hill. And today, I am giving the opener. This is a very special place. We are at Gethsemane Baptist Church, and I am with a special man here. So I have a photo of me when I was just a wee little lad here. I was not a baby, but old enough, of me and my grandfather. And my grandfather was a great man, and he's no longer living. Today we're at a special place. This church was a church that I spent most of my young childhood at, was Gethsemane Baptist Church here. And my mom come here when she was just a young girl. We went here, my dad served, my mom was a Sunday school teacher here, and we just have a lot of great memories at this church and the people as far as that. My mom was a church secretary here, and this is a special place. Well, today we're here to not only talk about Gethsemane Baptist Church, we're going to talk about the man that helped shape this church and shape Danville, and that's Herschel McKinley.
So, Herschel, welcome to the show today. Glad to have you on. And rumor tells me you're from Albany, Kentucky.
I am from Albany, Kentucky, yes indeed. Population 2,000, has remained 2,000 all the years I can remember.
You know, my hometown's kind of like that. It seems like the population sign never changes, so I figure the funeral home and the hospital are in cahoots.
Yeah, they're in cahoots somewhere along the line.
But no, I'm very familiar with Albany, and being from down there, from what I remember, it's Albany.
Oh, yeah, it just depends on who you talk to. People ask, where is Albany? And I tell them it's 4 miles from Static, Tennessee.
It is.
And then I just let them wonder where Static, Tennessee is.
It's a great reference point.
It's 4 miles from the Tennessee line.
Right. So you've done so many things in your life, and let's back up maybe to the earlier years. You were in television at one point.
Well, I was in radio and television. Radio mostly. And it's interesting to me, and after, in retrospect, I got into broadcasting, I got into radio because I was a shy kid. And when you get into a radio studio, it's just you.
It's just you.
And you can play the songs. We were playing records, 45s back then, starting at WHIR. And that was such a comfort. I enjoyed that. I did the Nighthawk show, which was, we played music back then instead of news, sports, and all of that other stuff. But it was a wonderful opportunity. And when I tried to get into it in the very beginning, I had that very flat Southern Kentucky accent. Hi, ye.
Right.
And I did not go to a speech therapist. During high school, I really emphasized the I's and the E's.
Mm-hmm.
And people would look at me and go, what are you doing? But anyway, that's kind of how I got into that Midwestern accent. Now, being back in Danville for a number of years, you kind of fall back occasionally.
Right.
But that was how I did it. I just did it on my own so that I could get into radio and I could be in radio.
You know, I've always enjoyed radio.
Oh, yeah.
And, it is the first original entertainment medium, after the Broadville shows.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, of course, Marconi's credited with the creation of the radio.
Yeah, and there's a guy in Kentucky credited.
Actually, he did, down in Fulton, yes.
Yes.
And, anyway, and then, of course, radio segmented into television, later on. And so it's kind of a natural transition of things, but I have a lot of fond memories of when I was younger, working, radio playing in the background, things, and just I think with all of us, just kind of provides the soundtrack to our life. So
Oh, it really
you know,
does. And one of the things that I would do when my parents would let me stay up a little later, some of the large stations like LW and HAS, stuff like that, they had radio dramas.
Yes.
And I used to listen to those.
Yes.
Everything from Amos and Andy to The Shadow Knows.
Right.
But they would come on, and I would go to sleep doing that. That would be fun.
Well, and I almost enjoy those.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes more than television.
Oh
because
yeah.
The images that our mind create are so much better than what you get.
That's true.
From the screen. You know, so our imaginations are just a wonderful, wonderful trait.
Yeah, it opens up the entire world to you.
It does. It really does. Yeah. And you're just talking about old dramas. Dick Tracy was an old radio drama.
Tracy. Oh, yes.
Superman started out.
Superman, yes. Oh, my goodness.
And that's going back a few years, even way before my time. But
and I feel sorry for the kids today.
Yes.
That don't have that. They have a little phone.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to spend my days here, but no, this does not expand your mind. It doesn't give you that imagination. It doesn't give you that creativity.
Exactly. And you was talking about listening to that as you fall asleep.
Uh-huh.
And everybody's mind works different, but mine, when I'm using my imagination like that, the colors are all real vivid.
Oh yeah.
And the scenery is just so realistic. It's just the whole thing. But anyway, so transitioning then from radio,
mm-hmm.
What was your next step then after that?
Well, I did radio disc jockey thing, and then I started working. I worked for about 3 or 4 stations, just filling in for friends.
Right.
And in different communities. And then I moved to WVLK Lexington, did nothing but news.
Okay.
I worked there, and I believe, very seriously, I got fired from WVLK because of a story I wrote about Garvis Kincaid's, one of Garvis Kincaid's. He owned VLK at that time. One of his fair-haired city officials. So I wrote the story, and that was on a Thursday, and then on a Friday, the station manager was standing at the doorway and said, "Here's your paycheck for this week, and here's 2 weeks. Don't come back." So, that's
maybe you stepped on a toe there.
I stepped on a big toe, and but if you're not fired in this business, you've never done anything.
That's that.
But so I went to I did the morning news, I did the noon report, and then that was when I was walking out of the station. It was in the penthouse of the Phoenix Hotel in Lexington. And so I went back to my apartment, and I picked up the phone, and I said, I called the Kentucky Department of Public Information, talked to a fellow I knew over there, and I said, "Do you need anybody over there?" He said, "Can you start Monday?" Oh. So I never lost one day of work.
Oh, so that's good.
Yeah, and I worked there and worked under 2 governors, and at that point met my wife and moved to Northern Ohio. Got back in the broadcasting business for a while, and then when I made enough money, as I was the morning man. It was in the South Cleveland, Akron, Canton market, a small station, but it had great coverage, and after I made enough money, after I sold some spots and things of that nature, I quit and went back to school and graduated at Kent State.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
All right. So at what point did you transition from Ohio? You said you had met your wife there.
Well, I met my wife, yes. I met my wife down in Cookeville, Tennessee. And that's a story in itself, which we don't need really to go into. But I met her the first time I saw her. I said, "I'm going to marry that girl."
Right.
And 9 months later, we were married. We dated by telephone, by letter. We saw each other maybe 6 or 7 times. And so we were married on December 9, 1972.
Do you imagine Herschel? And back in that time, that was very common to have correspondence. And telephone and things.
Well, it was an expensive telephone call because, you didn't have cell phones then. Long-distance calls were expensive.
Yes, they were. When I was in high school, I had a lady that I'd met at church camp. that I dated that was from Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Not too far from Cookville. And so those phone calls got very expensive at times. They did. But so you guys get married then, 9 months later.
9 months later, we get married.
And I think for younger generation today, and to me, I feel like anybody under 30 years old, maybe even 40 at this point, to have a relationship with somebody, you only see them 4 or 5 times, like you're talking about, and then all the other correspondence is through letter or telephone. I can't imagine anybody today being able to do that. But values were a little bit different then, and I think we've lost so much since that time. As far as dating in general, so to speak.
Well, and the interesting thing to me was that when I told my wife, I said, this is what happened, and this is how it happened. There's a whole story goes along with it, but I said, this is what happened. She really did not believe me because it was too far-fetched.
Right.
But I was very fortunate in that we were seated in a church in Tennessee, in Cookville, Tennessee. We were seated in a church, and right behind me was my wife's aunt. Okay. And I told my little cousin, Mike, he was about 6 years old when I first saw her stick her head around the vestibule, and I said, I'm going to marry that girl. That's true. And she didn't believe me. But anyway, and I can understand why. But her aunt said, yeah, I heard him say that.
Well, and even that idea within itself, to just see somebody and know. And I think maybe sometimes that happens to men a little more than women.
Yeah.
It may not, but I've heard it more from men.
I think
I'll say it that way.
You're right.
And so I think that today would be a foreign concept to this younger generation.
Well, I did meet her on April 1st.
and
we should and we should have figured something on that. But this is at this point, and the recording is 53 years and some months later.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations, Herschel.
And we have 2 beautiful kiddos.
So, well, congratulations on those 2. But for people to last that long in today's age.
It's difficult. And it's not, marriage, one of the things that you really, really have to understand about marriage is that it's not about you. It's about both of you together.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that kept us through the difficult times, because everybody's going to have difficult times.
Absolutely.
Everyone has. Is the fact that we were so ingrained in church. And we believed what God had told us. And that is, put us together and don't let anybody come asunder.
What we are doing, let no man asunder.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
and that I think is a key to doing this.
Yeah. Well, and people today seem like it's easy to give up and things, but they think it's all rainbows and lollipops. And when you're first in love, it does kind of feel that way. But the true love comes after time, after trials, after being with each other and respecting each other, and you just kind of have to have that mindset going into it, really.
You really do.
And one thing that I've seen early in my married life was, it's not you against me, it's us against the world.
That's right.
And so with a united front like that, I think it really, really helps to carry that on.
Oh, sure.
And like you say, God being a part of that, it's so much even more the blessing.
Well, the blessing of the Lord in your life. And if you follow his precepts, and we don't all the time do that, we don't, thanks God, but I'd rather do it my way. that's really, you come to find out in life that that's kind of a mistake.
Well, you can do it that way.
Yeah.
It's just a little more difficult.
It is
My wife gets worried sometimes, and I think women do naturally. It's just part of their traits sometimes. But she gets worried. She said, "Do you not worry about anything?" And I said, "Kind of." And it's not that I don't get worried or concerned about things, but I have this innate faith that I know it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Every adversity that I've ever had, I've come through because I'm here today, you know, and you know, whether it be financial or this or that, and we were talking the other day, and I said, you know what? I said, honey, we've been together a little over 16 years, and it's always worked out.
Yeah.
And she said, well, nice knowing that. I said, what do you mean? She said, I'm not speaking to you again. So, which I said, well, if that's what you choose. So, but I love, you know, we have a great relationship, and it just, as you know, it's not always been perfect.
It's not, no marriage is absolutely perfect, and little flowers along the way all the time. Right. Sometimes you're going to hit some weeds. Well, you got to work through that.
Right.
But you got to love one another enough to want to work through that.
Yes. Yeah. That is the ticket.
Yeah.
It really is. So now, so you guys have been together 50-some years.
53 plus years.
Okay. So after the marriage, after you guys got married and things, then where was your life then at that point?
Okay. When we got married in Akron, Ohio. Okay. My wife was a nursing student, and the only reason I met her, she was working, she had relatives in Albany. Okay. And we didn't realize all of this whenever we were starting to date. But she was working in Albany at the hospital there to get money to finish up, you know, that semester of nursing school.
Right.
And so that's the reason she was down there. And she was dating a guy up in Akron. He was a pre-med student at that time. And I was dating a gal in Frankfurt. So we were both, and the interesting thing is that had we not gotten together and married, we would have both been widow and widower at this time in our life. Yeah, the people that we were dating at that time. But it was interesting that the minute I saw her, everything else, it just disappeared.
Isn't it funny how that happens like that?
And but when we moved to Akron, gave me an opportunity to get involved in a couple of things. I was in journalism. I had a telecommunications, mass media analysis degree, and met some people. Bill Randall is a fellow that I met, and if you look him up on the net, he was the first person to ever introduce Elvis Presley on national TV.
How about that?
Yeah. So, but he was a very interesting person. I had class with a football player by the name of Paul Warfield. We did projects together. Learned television production, more about television production. I was already experienced from being in the Kentucky Department of Public Information because I filmed. We used film. We didn't have videotape. Right, we had 16 millimeter film. So I made this motion picture for the state police on Trooper Island, and we were talking earlier about Trooper Island. You've been there, and in Dale Hollow Lake. Made this film. They used it for 27 years. So I thought that was, you know, I look at the film today, I still have a copy, and I say, why did I do that? Why did I make that cut? Why did I put that there? But anyway, I shot it, I edited it, I sent it off to the processors to get it all laid down. I did multi-roll edit on it, learned how to do that. Did the voiceover, did the music tracks afterwards. I laid the tracks, all the audio down. So, and then and they used it. So I'm very pleased that they used it that long. They probably didn't have funding to get somebody else to do it better at that time, but they did use it. And I did stuff for the Legislative Research Commission, the Attorney General's office, most all of the state parks, promotional things for that. We would do stand-ups, what we call stand-ups, where you do on camera, and it was a weekly report of what went on in Frankfurt.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. And we would do that. It would go out. We'd take it over to Lexington. The film processor was in Lexington. We always had what's called mag track on it. It wasn't optical track. But anyway, we'd take it over. We'd get it processed at Royal Films out on Frazzell Drive in Lexington, run back. And if it was an important thing, I'd go out to the airport, get in an airplane and fly to Knoxville or Huntington and drop off the film if it affected them. And that's, I traveled all over the state doing that. So that was a fun time in my life.
You know, it's fortunate to be able to do that travel.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's encompassed into your job too, and especially if you're doing something like that you enjoy.
Yeah.
You know? So, Herschel, you were talking about being in Ohio, and I've noticed your ring.
Yes.
That you have. Tell me the story about it.
Story about this ring is I bought this ring when I think I was working for WVLK.
Okay.
This is a Kentucky cluster. It was the cheapest one I could afford.
Okay.
It cost $90 from Leroy's Jewelry when it first opened in Fayette Mall. And that's when Fayette Mall is brand new. It was brand new.
Yes.
And it cost me $90. Took me 3 months to pay for it. It's just got little chips in it. Right. But anyway, when we lived in Akron, I had my wedding band on this hand, and I had this one. I was interviewing a lady. As a part of my job, I interviewed the TV stars that would come into the Canal Fulton Summer Arena and do theater for a week or 2 weeks. So part of my job is I got to go interview them. Everybody from the Virginian to the guy who was on 6 Cents, and one gal, her name is Fannie Flagg. Now, people don't know Fannie Flagg now, but older viewers will know Fannie Flagg. Beautiful woman, red hair, absolutely a marvelous complexion. She's from Birmingham, Alabama. I'm holding the microphone like this. And I had just asked her a question, Ms. Flagg, I forgot the question. But I was holding the microphone like this. She grabs my hand and says, "That's a Kentucky cluster. I have friends in Winchester." So that's one of the stories.
Trying to get my words together. Give me just a second here. So, in a few minutes, Herschel, you had mentioned you were a deacon. So a few minutes after our break, we want to segue into that and talk about your work here at Gethsemane and some of the things that you've done as being deacon in that position, and what things that the church, may have been through, and things through those years.
Sure.
Life has a way of leading us down roads we never expected. For Herschel McKinley, the early chapters of his story were filled with curiosity, creativity, and a love for storytelling through radio, film, and television. But somewhere along the way, that journey began to take on a deeper meaning. What started as a life shaped by curiosity would slowly grow into a life shaped by faith. And in a small corner of Boyle County stood a place where that calling would continue to unfold: Gethsemane Baptist Church. Within these walls were voices lifted in song, friendships formed over shared meals, and generations of memories that still echo today. It was here that Herschel's story would become part of something larger than himself: a community, a ministry, and a faith that would carry him through the years to come.
Herschel, we were talking about your work here at Gethsemane Church and some of the mission work that you had done with Uganda.
Yeah.
And things. And of course, the church here sponsored that, you guys. So, mention to me again some of the things that you wanted to say.
Well, one of, I guess, the highlights years ago, our pastor, Brother Bill Hall, came to Shirley and myself, and we said we'd like to do some mission work. We were thinking in Kentucky.
Right.
And he came, I can remember it was at the entrance, and he says, "I've got something for you. It's Uganda, East Africa." Well, we had small children at that time.
Right.
And to leave them for little over 3 weeks was going to be difficult.
Right.
But the church came together. They took care of our kiddos while we were gone. We ended up going the first time we couldn't fly into Uganda because of all of the problems with Idi Amin. And the Entebbe airport was still shut down from the raid on Entebbe. So we couldn't go in that way. So we had to fly into Kenya. We flew into Nairobi and then drove overland down the escarpment across the Great Rift of Africa and up the other escarpment into probably one of the most stinking communities I've ever seen, called Busia, with all of these big baskets of dead fish sitting around. But, and here's an interesting thing too. It tells us the power of God. When we got off the airplane after a 30-hour flight, when we got off the airplane in Nairobi, walked down the stairs, walked up the stairs into the terminal, and to the place where we were going to be checked with customs. We're standing in line, and the people in front of us down this little roller conveyor, their clothes were everywhere. I mean, they went through every piece of luggage that they had. And I looked up and down the line, a lot of people coming into Kenya, and clothes absolutely everywhere. Well, a couple of weeks before, we had a Gideon camp send us 2 boxes of Gideon Bibles. And they were still tied with seagrass string. We carried those all the way with us, hand carried them, put them up in the bins over the seats. And we were first in line. And when the guy motioned for us to come down after clearing this other family out, we put these 2 boxes on and just rolled them down the conveyor. And then our luggage after that. There were 30 of us in our group going over. The guy looks at it and he says, "What's in the boxes?" Well, at that time you could still carry a knife, so I pulled out my knife and I popped the strings and I opened it up and I said, "Bibles." He took one out and then he took another one out and he said, "May I have these too?" And I said, "Of course." He said, "How many in your group?" I said that there's 30 of us. And he said, "Come on through." We had all the medicine that we were going to use in Uganda. We had all of the food we were going to eat in our suitcases. And very little clothing because we just left that when we came back. But not one suitcase was opened. Not one suitcase was ever even inspected. We just passed right on through customs. They never looked at us.
And a lot of people may not realize, but at the time frame when all of this was going on, and because you said the power of God a moment ago, people don't realize how restricted some of these regimes were.
Oh yeah.
How anti-Christian a lot of these regimes were. A lot of countries at that time, just the possession of a Bible was as the old timers would say, a hanging fence. Just to have the word there with you at that time. I mean, people were dying. Really, and not just in Africa. I mean, some places in Asia and Far Eastern Europe and things. So at that time frame, I mean, that had to require a lot of faith.
It was, we went on faith, and probably a little stupidity at the same time, but we went on faith.
And kind of segueing out of the missionary parts of it, I think all congregations, have their own almost unique personality.
Oh yeah, they do. They do.
And so, share with me some experiences as a deacon, that maybe you've had here at the congregation that's been challenging to you in that position.
Well, let me say this about Gethsemane. When we first came back to Kentucky, we went to several churches and we asked for visitation. We were looking, my parents went to another church and we started there, and then we went to several other churches. And we told them we'd like to have a visit because we're looking for a church.
Okay.
Nobody showed up. We came to Gethsemane. That was on a Sunday. On a Monday, Brother Hall was knocking on the door. And we were in a little small apartment on East Main Street across from the school. So that's our beginnings here at Gethsemane, and it's always been a welcoming, warm, welcoming church. And people, quite frankly, if they're visiting, say, "I can't believe your church is this friendly," and it's because of the people that are here.
And you know that one visit.
Mm-hmm. That one visit can do it.
You know, and what a difference and an impact that's made in your guys' life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because. And I think people get lost on the fact that they don't realize how important those small details are. Those small things.
That's exactly what makes it.
I used to have a guy that I worked with, and he always told me, he said, "Stephen, small hinges swing big doors."
That's right.
And I've always kind of carried that in my life, because it is those little things,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be an individual within the congregation
Mm-hmm.
that may have had a real impactful, thing, or just the small thing that the church as a whole does,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, tell me about Miss Sue.
Miss Sue Gordon. Oh my goodness. Sue was one of the sweetest individuals that we have ever met.
Some people leave a mark on a church that never fades. Sue was one of those people. Through her kindness, her laughter, and the way she cared for others, she became part of the heart of Gethsemane. She was a devoted wife, a loving mother, and the foundation of a beautiful family that carries her legacy forward. Though her life ended far too soon, the impact she left behind still lives on. In this church, in this community, and in the hearts of those who knew and loved her.
She ran the kitchen in our new fellowship hall. And it is the Sue Gordon Memorial Kitchen now.
Oh, very good.
Mike and Sue have been friends for many, many, many years. And Sue was ill. She died, I'm thinking, on the operating table at UK. But you cannot think of Sue without a tear in your eye.
And you know that that's just love that doesn't have anywhere to go.
That's right.
And I love the quote by Charlie Brown that says, "How fortunate am I that saying goodbye is so hard."
Yeah.
And
oh yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
that is a beautiful, beautiful quote.
Yeah.
And today is 5 years ago today, this morning, I lost my father.
Mm-hmm.
So this time of year is always a little rough.
Yeah.
But it is very fortunate to have people in our lives.
It is.
That means so much, and so in fact, and I understand she's done missionary work also.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
So,
oh yes.
And
yes.
To be able to touch so many people throughout, not just in the church here or in the congregation,
Mm-hmm.
but in every aspect of life, getting back kind of to those little things,
Mm-hmm.
those small things that people do. And you mentioned her being in the kitchen, and I can't help but sit and think that each meal that was prepared, that there wasn't a small prayer said, as the preparation was taking place.
That always happens.
Right.
That always happens. Yes.
And just the thoughts that, well, I'm going to make this, but brother so-and-so enjoys it.
Mm-hmm.
And those type of things. So.
And I still look forward to meals in our fellowship hall.
Well, I think anyone that's grown up in a church and doesn't miss the potlucks.
That's right.
And the gatherings.
Oh my goodness, there's a bunch of good cooks here.
Yeah,
And whenever somebody says, "Is it free?" and I said, "Look, I'll just tell you what my old daddy used to tell me." He'd say, he said, "Son, just never thump a free melon. Just enjoy."
All right. So Herschel, how long have you been a member here?
I was thinking the other day, I'm not real sure, but it had to be around 75 that we joined, 1975. In that time frame, 1975.
So imagine you've seen a lot of changes.
Oh yes. Yes.
For sure. Going that long, with anything, you bound to. So, and as you transition through those years, with those changes, sometimes like, you may want to expand, and things. Have there been talk of expanding the sanctuary, or was it?
Well, not really. The sanctuary will hold about 300.
Okay.
We have seen the sanctuary absolutely full. COVID did a job on churches throughout the country, and attendance is not what it used to be. I wish, and it's slowly growing back, which I am so pleased to see. And I shoot the video that people see on Cablevision, and do the radio, which people listen to on WHIR because we broadcast live. Right. And I don't get down and do as much fellowshipping during that time. I've done that for years, as I normally would. And sometimes I may even run into someone that I don't recognize that's been coming. Right. And I apologize to anybody that I said, if I don't recognize you, forgive me. I'm up there in the TV booth, and by the time I get down here, everybody's on their way out. So, I run into that occasionally.
Well, being back there, it's hard to recognize them from the back of their head.
Oh yeah. I can tell who's Don Eagle. Yeah, right. I can tell that.
So let me ask this question. This is the question to ask, and then you can kind of segue into it. Is the church was supposed to build a new church twice, and kind of talk about why the church decided to stay here. And he can go ahead and continue. Action.
So, had there been plans, maybe building a newer building or anything?
Most of those plans to build a newer building, I do not remember any in my tenure here.
I got you.
In my wife and mine's tenure here.
Okay.
It started out as a little house just in the parking lot over there. Okay. And then the basement was built, I know that, and then the sanctuary was built on that, and then the educational building was built, and then at a later time, our fellowship hall was built. Right. And it's progressed in that. But as far as the church itself rebuilding the sanctuary, that I'm not aware of.
Right.
But I know this church started in 1949. It was a mission church off of First Baptist Church, Danville, which was located on Broadway, Danville at that time. It's true, and I'd forgotten all about that. That was under the leadership of Brother Mark Payton. We purchased property on the Perryville Road, and there is a church on that property because we ended up selling it.
Okay.
And we were thinking very seriously about moving our church out there and going into a building program and such as that. It just did not work out.
I got you.
And so we sold that property, and we utilized that money to build our fellowship hall.
Oh, very good.
And a group of Christian carpenters came, and we had that fellowship hall under roof within about 2 weeks.
Isn't that amazing?
And they came up. They stayed here. We fed them, provided places for them to stay. They stayed here. They came. They built and roofed it, and we had it under roof, ready for some of the finishing work inside.
I think in today's time, people are more isolated. Most of it, I think, is more self-imposed.
Mm-hmm.
But when you take what you're talking about, those Christian carpenters coming together as one, people would absolutely be amazed at what a handful of guys can do that are just devoted and dedicated and focused on a project, and you look back through history somewhere, how did they build this big building? How did they build, it's because people came together as one.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it's almost like a colony of ants. Everybody's moving. Yeah. And it's all toward one goal.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And so that's good to bring up fellowship. But and then provide a place to have that for years and years.
Oh,
You know,
this,
even after we're gone. It'll
yeah,
still be
yeah. I would love to see us get a steeple on this church, but the church is built to have a steeple, but was never purchased. I'd like to see us get a steeple someday for it, and we have a special offering coming that is a continuing thing for bells for Clarion, you know, the electronic Clarion for bells.
Right.
But that's just something for the future,
Right.
and I'd love to see us have a steeple.
We were talking about your time here at the congregation and things. I'm sure there's been a lot of changes. A lot of people that mean a lot to you.
Yeah.
Would you care to expand on that a little?
I worked, you know, if I start naming names, I'm going to miss somebody, but two people that really stand out, or three people that really stand out, as a matter of fact. One is Walter Montgomery. We did the television together for years, along with Jackie Casey, too. And the other was Don Hayden. Don he was not a charter member, but he was one of the earliest members, along with Walter, of Gethsemane. And he died with a heart attack on the front steps of this church. Yes. And Don was, if anything needed to be done, Don was there to do it. He could do about anything. We've spent many hours together hanging on a ladder on the roof here trying to stop a leak one time, and plus some other things. But and then as a matter of fact, Kathy Edwards was the secretary when Brother Mark was our pastor.
Okay.
When we were thinking about possibly relocating out Perryville Road, but didn't. But Kathy is Brandon's mom.
Yeah. She's a sweet lady.
She's a sweet lady, isn't she? Yeah.
She is. So, Herschel, we were talking about marriage earlier and basically dedication to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And churches sometimes have their ups and downs.
Oh, they do.
Much like a marriage.
Yes.
You know. And have you seen those times here?
Oh, sure. I don't think Gethsemane Baptist Church is any different than any other church. You have, and the reason is, you have individual people.
Right.
And sometimes it's difficult for people to get one direction. Right. And sometimes in the past, those have been church leaders that say, well, no, we don't want this, we don't want that, and can cause lots of problems. That has happened here. I'm sure it's happened in many other churches. The fortunate thing is that as we continue to follow the leadership of the Holy Spirit through God, the church will survive.
Yes.
The church will survive.
Well, you know, and I think it gets lost on people sometimes, you know. The Jews in the Old Testament were God's chosen people.
Mm-hmm.
But he also,
We're spiritual Israel is what we are.
Yeah.
Spiritual Israel.
Yes. But God allowed them to be in prison.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
In 400 years.
400 years God allowed
yeah.
them.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's not a spank on the hand, as far as that goes. So, but I say that in, you know, sometimes people get confused. Well, you know, why allow this to happen or allow that to happen, or, you know, if God's all that, then why do all these bad things happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know. But they have to realize there's grace behind every bit of that.
Yes.
And there's a reason for it.
Mm.
And usually, on the other end of it, it's a lot better.
It is.
What people kind of get the idea of.
Tears can be shed.
Yes.
Times can be tough.
Yes.
But with the understanding and the belief and the acceptance of the Holy Spirit under the direction of God, things will be better.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Herschel, you've been in Danville for quite a while.
Yeah, since the early 60s, thereabouts.
And your dad owned a furniture store here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When we came to Danville, which must have been around 61, 62, I was the first graduating class from the new Danville High School on Lexington Avenue.
Okay.
Okay. So I where Norton. I went to school where Norton Center for the Arts is for 3 years.
Right.
So my father, when he purchased a store, it was a Dixie Furniture on 4th Street across from the restaurant and where PNC Bank is now in Danville.
Okay.
The building is gone, of course, but and there was a Ford dealership right next door to it. And he purchased that, and we lived in an apartment above that store. And then he purchased the building on 2nd Street, across from what was then United Auto Parts. And Rainbow Cleaners used to be down there, Jasper Toombs. So it was McKinley Furniture Mart. And it's now, I think, Kerbar and Rhodes, that business. And I watched them build Kentucky Utilities. There was a Coca-Cola bottling plant down on 1st Street. Yeah. And I made a rocket one time before they got everything built. I said, boy, this is going to be fun. Right. I had made a rocket, and I lit that puppy, and I ran, and it just blew up because I didn't have it built right. And this huge boom goes across Danville. It threw the casing of that rocket all the way down from 2nd Street in and scarred the Coca-Cola building. And I talked to a police officer many years later, and I told him about that, and he says, I remember that. We looked all over town for where that came from.
Oh, that's a good story.
So, but my dad retired from the furniture business there, and then he later built a nursing home in Stanford.
Okay.
And and then he sold that, and he passed away, and then 5 years later, my mom passed away.
Yeah. Now, you do a lot of work. People may not be aware with Center College.
No, I don't do that much work with Center College. I don't know where you got your information. I do the Brass Band Festival.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
That's it. It's on the Center College campus.
There we go.
Yeah, I have for the last, I have missed one Brass Band Festival since its inception. That's 36 years, I forgot. And I do the Saturday night stage announcing.
Right.
This may be my last year because it's time for me to sit in my own picnic table and watch everybody else do the work. But I've enjoyed that. It has been a blessing. I have met tremendous people. The only person I missed was Doc Severinsen.
Oh,
yeah. And I know I met, Sousaphone, John Philip Sousa's great grandson was there one time, and I got a picture with him. But yeah, that has been most enjoyable.
Well, Herschel and Raquel, I've really enjoyed speaking with you about, your life. It's very interesting. Some of the mission work you've done, some of your early radio and television work, which I'm obviously a fan of, and things. But I've really enjoyed our conversation today, and thank you for being with us here at Hollow in the Hill.
Steve, thank you so very much. And I'd like to say one thing.
Yes, sir.
I still do voiceovers and I still do commercials. If anybody wants them done,
very good.
Call me. I'll get you to be my agent.
There we go. But and I want to extend a very sincere thank you to the congregation here.
Yes.
So on my behalf, if you could relay that, I'd really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. You take care.
In every small town, there are places that hold more than memories. They hold the lives and faith of the people who built them. Gethsemane Baptist Church is one of those places. Through seasons of joy and seasons that tested it, it remained part of this community's story. And through it all, there were those who stayed, continuing to serve, to believe, and to hold on to what mattered most.
I would like to say thank you, first of all, to my sweet and wonderful wife, because without her, this life would not have been possible. I don't know what it would have ended up with. But thank you, Shirley. I'd like to thank Gethsemane Baptist Church, all of the people that we know here, all of our friends that we have known over the years, that has all become a part of us. And for the ministry of the pastors that have been here, that have led me beyond what I could do. just want to say thank you.